Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another installment of Going for the One. We, with this series, are taking a look at our favorite debut albums, and we're having a great time doing this. I know I am. The gentleman will tell me off camera after taping if they're not. That's okay. But right now, Jim is going to take the floor with his choice for his favorite debut album. So take it away, Jim.
I absolutely am going to take the floor and I'm not going to give it back. Um,
We'll see.
a couple of opening comments. First of all, I make no apologies for this selection. The second is that in a previous episode, Ken talked about what was possibly the first supergroup. This is the diametric opposite, 180 degrees. Um, Armando is very fond of saying that certain LPs bring out emotions. This brings forth hilarity. I am talking about the June 1969 debut album from The Shags, Philosophy of the World. My friends, this is 32 minutes of the most god-awful music you've ever heard. This makes Golden Throats sound like Mozart. Um, the Shags were formed in 1965 by three teenage sisters at the behest and encouragement of their probably a little crazy father, the Wiggin sisters of Dot, Betty, and Helen. Um, the father withdrew his daughters from school, bought them instruments, and arranged for them to receive music and vocal lessons beginning in 1965. He designed their schedule and had them practice as a band for hours every day. The sisters had zero interest in becoming musicians and did not enjoy the rehearsals. Um, in March of 1969, the father took the sisters to a recording studio in Massachusetts. A studio was mainly used for like local rock groups and whatnot, or school marching bands. Um, the engineer in the studio said this band was not ready to record. And the father said, I want to get them while they're hot. End quote. Um, one of the producers, and again, this is all from the big encyclopedia in the sky. One of the producers says, we shut the control room doors and rolled on the floor laughing. It was horrible. And I'll share a couple of reviews to sort of let the god awfulness unfold a little bit. This is from Rolling Stone in a review of the reissue of the album from 1980. Philosophy of the World is the sickest, most stunningly awful, wonderful record I've heard in ages. The perfect mental purgative for doldrums of any kind. Like a lobotomized trap family singers, the Shags warble earnest greeting card lyrics in happy and hapless quasi unison along ostensible lines of melody while strumming their tinny guitars like someone worrying a zipper. The drumming pounds gamely to the call of a different muse, as if she had to guess which song they were playing, and she missed every time. Um, Another review in Rolling Stone said, this is, without exaggeration, the worst album ever recorded. And, I 100% agree. And therein lies the charm of this record and why I I love it so dearly. Um, it is really something everyone has to experience just once in their life to say, okay, I've made my way through it. It's like a baptism of fire. You really need to just in order to appreciate how good we had it with previous entries in this series, Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin, Buffalo Springfield, Chicago Transit Authority, etc. You really have to understand how low music can go in order to really appreciate the great stuff. I'm just going to talk about side one here, because talk is just kind of a crime against man and nature. Um, Starts off with the title track, Philosophy of the World. Within the first 15 seconds, you know you are listening to the greatest, worst album of all time. And I think time is the key problem here. None of them keep a tempo, or they're all keeping a different tempo. Every once in a while, it'll collide into, a place where they're cohesive, but then it disappears again. Um, that little sports car track two, I literally laugh out loud every time I hear it because it's so bad, so off. Um, Who Are the Parents? The third track. This is perhaps the whitest rhythm section and vocal delivery ever. There's a complete absence of any groove or any soul whatsoever. Um, my and it continues. There's three more songs. My Pal Foot Foot is track four, which kind of sounds like Max Roach on mushrooms with a 12-year-old Lou Reed in a studio with absolutely no monitors and Carol Kay playing underwater while she has the bends.
Oh
I mean,
shit.
it's just absolutely ridiculous. My Companion, track five, I don't know how anyone makes it through it. It's just so, so bad. And the album, the side ends mercifully after 14 minutes and 47 seconds
Bloody
with a
hell.
tune called I'm So Happy When You're Near. And to me, I'm so happy when I turn you off. I mean, it staggers the mind that this album ever got recorded, let alone released. My understanding in doing some research on this album, which is available on all streaming platforms, is
Jesus.
that there were like 1,000 copies printed. They gave the father like the first 100 copies, and the other 900 got like stashed in a warehouse somewhere because there was absolutely no call for this thing. It's just absolute. I cannot emphasize this enough.
I
It is
think you have.
absolutely the worst thing you will ever hear. And thus, because of that, it's kind of become this cult classic. There are a lot of people who say just because these guys are so, DIY and so bereft of any musical talent that this might be the first, proto-punk album, which strains a little credulity, but I get where they're coming from on it. Um, I, I, I wish none of you guys have heard this record, right?
No, and after hearing your description, I will not.
Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, so for people who may not be familiar with this channel, Armando holds Black MIDI, which I forced him to listen to, as sort of the
No quotes. No quotes.
you could have refused.
Go on.
He kind of sees that as the apex of like really crappy music. I'm telling you, Black MIDI sounds like frickin' Steely Dan's Asia compared to Philosophy of the World by the Shags. And again, it's so bad, it's glorious because the mind cannot fathom how bad music can be.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, this is the epitome of it.
Sounds
What?
like a challenge to me. So, yeah.
Oh, it is a challenge. I mean,
I'll let Ken take the challenge. What? My only question is, and I mean this in all seriousness, if this album is so bad, and I do believe you that it is that bad, what
Mhm.
drew you to putting it on this list?
Well, we
If
were
it's,
talking about debut albums, and I wanted some variety, and B, this is one of my favorite records because it's so god awful bad.
but if it's that bad, then okay, okay, all right, never mind.
So I put it in here for variety. This is the, the in
Liberace is
between
variety.
course.
Okay, never mind. Okay, go ahead.
We talk about variety on the channel, and there ain't much more variety than the Shags. I tell you what. Um, it and there are some people who hear it and they really think it is one of the greatest things ever recorded because again, it's so bad. I mean, the good news here is that it is only about 32 minutes. So mercifully it does end, but you really haven't lived and you really can't call yourself a music fan unless you've heard Philosophy of the World by the Shags. That is my statement.
I can call myself a music fan, and I have no intention of ever listening to this album after this description. So, um,
So Jim,
Yes.
900 copies got stored in a warehouse. Did you look to see how much they're worth? Original copies are?
No.
That would be very interesting to find out.
yeah.
I think the market for this, to quote Spinal Tap, is so selective. I'm not sure how much these would go for.
Okay.
Just the rarity factor alone, you know,
Yeah.
Okay.
I
because
have
I
seen
haven't heard the album, but I have heard of it
yes.
several times. So it is known,
It
you
is
know.
it is known, but again, knowing it is not enough.
Okay.
My brothers,
I've got it queued up.
I again,
That's 32 minutes I will never get back. And my time is precious, my dear boy. So I'm not
I
even going to
I
try.
understand. But again, my assertion is that you need to know how low stuff can go and how bad it can get for you to
I've,
truly appreciate the gems that await.
Lou
I,
Reed.
yeah, I was going to say that. I was listening. And we've stunned Sagoshin to silence. He has not said a word or not even done anything.
He
At
doesn't know
least
where it happened.
he's
Only
blinking,
reason
so we know he's okay. So
The only reason I'm keeping silent is that I have already spent double the time, maybe even more than that, of the 32 minutes that Jim talks about, wading myself multiple times in an effort to get it through Trout Mask Replica. And I have no intention of ever trying to top that.
okay,
This
all right.
is I understand your comment about that because I mean I can barely get through Frownland. Barely. But there's something about Philosophy of the World that just makes it again, it's unbelievable that someone would take the time to pay to record this. It's kind of like if to use a film analogy, there are a lot of people who love the movie The Room. I believe I have that title right, but because it
Right.
was produced, directed, and written by someone who should have no business doing these things. But yet it's held in high regard because it's just so, again, so god awful.
Wow. In terms
Philosophy of the
of,
World is just like that.
I can answer your question. In terms of somebody paying to have this recorded, not only is love blind, but in the case of this father, it's deaf and dumb too. So I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, only a father's love for his children would ever compel someone to do something like this. If and I do believe when you say that it's that bad. So it's for that reason I will skip that on my list of albums that I must hear. I will not. No, I will not. No.
I say it's to your detriment, good sir, because again, got to
So,
know where the bottom is.
oh, I've hit the bottom. Was barely able to get back up. So there we go.
I
All right.
sense a new series in the making.
Yeah, we should call it Don't Be So Open Minded, Your Brains Fall Out.
Yes,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
there you go.
there you have it. Another episode of Going for the One, focusing on our favorite debut albums. You almost got me
Yes.
screwed up on the title. Again, if anyone out there watching has heard of this album, please put down in the comments below, down there, your review of this album. Is it that bad? should we check it for the ones who haven't listened to it? Should we check it out, or should we just save our 32 minutes plus and just move on to something else?
Should there be a box set?
There you go. There you go.
Ken.
A Steven Wilson remix.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The Dolby
Again.
Atmos of the
5.1 surround.
exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Again, another episode of Going for the One. I want to thank Sagosh, Ken, and Jim for joining me on this series.
Thank
We're
me
just-
after you've heard this record.
Yes.
I thank you for not making me listen to it, because I won't. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please look after yourselves and one another. Click like and subscribe. Again, hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that we've got coming up. And again, if you have heard of this album, please let us know down in the comments how bad it really is. And
if there's any album,
Can I get a
you think
witness,
is worse,
please?
yes, we need a witness. We're going to church. Hallelujah. And really, it's a Tyler Perry special. Anyways, for everyone watching, please look after yourselves and one another. And we'll see you soon with another episode of Going for the One. All right. Have a good day. Bye for now.